Israeli war party comes back to Moses after having defeated an enemy, and they report to Moses that they killed all of the adult males. And Moses flew into a rage, and he sent them back to, and I quote now, to kill every woman who has slept with a man, to kill all of the boys, and save the virgins for yourselves. Now, what's honorable about that? There's nothing honorable about this behavior, about this language, but we've got to begin to read it with a different set of eyes in order to understand who this book is really about, or what aspects of this book we can use for ourselves. What's significant about the 42 admonitions of Ma'at is a scene that is one of my favorites, the scene of the weighing of the soul, where the heart of the deceased person stands before the scale of Ma'at, the scale of truth and justice and righteousness, and his soul, his heart is weighed on the scale of Ma'at. And it is at this scene where the soul of the deceased recites the 42 admonitions of Ma'at, declares their innocence. I have not stolen, I have not robbed, I have not defrauded offerings, I have not polluted myself, I have not polluted the land, I have not committed adultery, I have not committed murder, I have not committed crimes. And so it is a way that our ancestors understood that we had to be pure of heart in order to move through life. The 42 admonitions of Ma'at were not just so that your heart could be weighed favorably on the scale of justice at the time of your death, but it was designed specifically for you to live a meaningful life while you were here on planet Earth and cultivate meaningful relationships with the people that you interacted with every day of your lives. So it was not just for death, it was for right now. Children were raised. They didn't have Sesame Street and all of this other nonsense. They were raised with Ma'at to understand the principles and concepts of Ma'at. So there was a different consciousness that emanated from these African people. It's important to realize, as Gerald Massey references in his Ancient Egypt, Light of the World, parallels and similarities between Heru and Jesus. Because you will find all of these personalities existed first in ancient Kemet. The earthly Jesus is equivalent to Heru. Jesus the Christ corresponds to Asar, the resurrected God. So he is a combination of the stories between Asar and Heru. Some of the early names for Heru in Kemet were the Prince of Peace. He was called the Good Shepherd. He was called the Lamb. He was called the Light of the World. He was called the Lord of Resurrection. He was called the Raiser of the Dead. He was called the Son of God 4,000 years before Jesus.